She is lying, Your Honor.
She stood in a courtroom in a borrowed blazer, hands folded, voice steady. Her husband of 11 years sat across the aisle and told the judge she was lying. He said she had never served, that she had fabricated her injuries, that she was, in his words, a woman who made up a military career to avoid being a real wife. And for one long, breathless moment, the entire room waited. Then the doors opened. Her name was Alina Vasquez. She was 42 years old, with short dark hair and a scar that ran along the left side of her jaw, the kind of scar that does not come from a kitchen accident or a car door. It comes from somewhere far worse. Alina had grown up in El Paso, Texas, the youngest of 5 children in a family that knew how to work hard and pray harder. Her mother cleaned hotel rooms. Her father drove a delivery truck 6 days a week. They were not wealthy, but they were proud, and they taught Alina that your word was your bond and your service was your honor. At 19, Alina enlisted in the United States Army, not because she had nowhere else to go, because she chose to go. She served 2 tours in Afghanistan, working as a combat medic attached to a forward operating base in Kunar province. She treated wounded soldiers in conditions that most people cannot imagine. She held men's hands while they prayed. She made decisions in the dark that no textbook could have prepared her for. She came home with a Purple Heart, a traumatic brain injury, and a silence she could not explain to people who had not been there. She also came home with chronic pain, nerve damage in her right leg, headaches that arrived without warning and stayed for days, and a medical file 3 inches thick filed with the Department of Veterans Affairs. She met Daniel Hargrove at a community college career fair 4 years after she returned from her second tour. He was charming in the way that some men are charming before you truly know them. He laughed easily. He opened doors. He called her brave and strong and said she deserved someone who would take care of her. What he meant, Alina would learn slowly, was that he wanted someone he could control. In the first year, the criticism was quiet. Why do you flinch at loud noises? Why do you wake up at 3 in the morning? Why do you take so many pills? Why can you not just be normal? By the 3rd year, it was louder. By the 6th year, it was aimed. He told her that her disability was an excuse, that her diagnoses were invented, that she had tricked the VA into giving her benefits she did not deserve. He said it in front of their daughter, Nadia, who was 8 years old and watching with wide brown eyes from the kitchen doorway. Alina filed for divorce on a Tuesday morning in March. She was 51 days away from her 12th wedding anniversary. The custody hearing was supposed to be straightforward. Both parents were seeking primary custody of Nadia. Daniel had hired an aggressive attorney who specialized, it seemed, in making women feel small. Daniel's strategy became clear within the first 20 minutes. He argued that Alina's mental health made her an unstable parent. He argued that her physical limitations made her unable to care for a child properly. And then he said the words that stopped the room cold. He told the judge that Alina had never actually served in a combat role. He said her injuries were exaggerated. He said her Purple Heart was a formality given to medical personnel who filed enough paperwork. He called her, plainly and without hesitation, a liar. Alina sat very still. Her attorney started to object. Alina put one hand gently on the attorney's arm and shook her head. She had been waiting for this. The doors at the back of the courtroom opened. A man walked in wearing the dress uniform of a United States Army colonel. He was in his early 60s, with silver at his temples and a chest full of commendations. His posture was the posture of someone who had spent decades standing at attention and had simply never stopped. His name was Colonel Marcus Whitfield, M.D. He had been Alina's commanding officer at the forward operating base in Kunar province. He was also one of the most decorated military surgeons in the history of the Army Medical Corps. He had driven 6 hours to be there. He carried a folder under his arm. He sat down at the witness stand with the calm of a man who has faced much worse than a courtroom. Alina's attorney asked him one question. Colonel Whitfield, can you describe what you personally witnessed Corporal Elena Vasquez do on the night of September 14th, during your second deployment to Kunar province? The colonel opened his folder. He did not need to read from it. He knew every word by memory. He described a night when their base came under fire, and the primary medical tent took a direct hit from an IED. He described Elena running into the smoke without body armor because she had already given hers to a wounded soldier. He described her performing emergency procedures on 3 men simultaneously, including one who would not have survived the next 10 minutes without her. He described the moment a piece of shrapnel struck her jaw, and she did not stop working. He described how she saved his life that night. The courtroom was absolutely silent. Then Colonel Whitfield looked directly at Daniel Hargrove and said, in a voice like low thunder, "The only liar I see in this room is the man who tried to erase what this woman survived." The judge awarded Elena primary custody of Nadia that same afternoon. The gavel came down and Nadia ran across the room and buried her face in her mother's shoulder. And Elena held her daughter the way only someone who has survived real darkness knows, how to hold someone they love, completely, with every part of themselves, as if they will never let go. Outside the courthouse, Colonel Whitfield shook Elena's hand. "You didn't need me in there," he said. Elena smiled, and the scar on her jaw caught the afternoon light. "I know," she said, "but I'm glad you came anyway. There is something this story teaches us that goes beyond courtrooms and custody battles. It is this: the people who try to erase your history are afraid of it. They call you a liar because your truth is too powerful for them to face. They minimize what you survived because surviving it means you are stronger than they will ever be." Elena Vasquez did not need a colonel to validate her. Her scars validated her. Her daughter validated her. Her medical file, her awards, her sleepless nights and silent mornings, all of it validated her. But sometimes, in this life, truth walks through a door at exactly the right moment. And when it does, you do not have to say a word. You just have to have been brave enough to tell the truth in the first place. If this story gave you even a moment of strength today, please hit the like button. It helps more people who need this find us. Subscribe to Soul Relief Stories if you are new here. We tell stories about people who chose courage when it would have been easier to stay quiet. And leave a comment below. Tell us about a time when the truth showed up for you, even when you thought it had forgotten where you lived. We will see you in the next story.